right, so we are back with another game of Doobs Does YouTube. I am got some new opponents lined up here. Fortunately, it's always good to play different people. Everybody has different styles, different strengths, add something interesting to the game. And here I'm playing Altaris. Very good player. I really like playing Altaris. He's very strategic, very deliberate. Been part of the Discord for a couple of years now. Participated in some tournaments, and is just a good guy to have in the community. Um, and I'm playing Rebel here. And the last time I played Altaris, a couple of days before this game, he beat me, and I think I was using the road deck, and so I decided this time that I would be using the base deck just to make sure that I had every advantage possible. I get the droid party to start off with. One droid is I like, both droids not so much. It's nice to have a little secret action card in reserve to keep the Empire guessing, and the strength of the droids, I think, is diminished. It's a little bit of diminishing marginal returns, I think, as far as what you're able to do with them. Uh, I do initial deployment in Hoth. I really like this deployment, especially because he only has the Death Star in Solus, and so a very inflexible fleet. It's not like he can bring an assault carrier over to retake Mustafar. And that is going to help me keep Mustafar blockaded. I want to make sure to keep his easy space production now down. I'm going to open with the general 3 starting missions, and probably will open with infiltrate on Corellia just to make sure I can block any shenanigans going down there. And if you notice, he doesn't have Mandalore or Seleucami. And so what that means is if he doesn't move to Mandalore this turn, he is going to have a hard time getting to Mon Cal. So he's got the scary duo up, um, Emperor and Vader. It's possible this is a capture into a rule by fear. I'm just going to play it safe and open up with the sabotage. I really want to make sure to block whatever the Emperor's doing. And you'll see I have a rescue in hand. And so if he wants to capture Riken, I'm not going to try and oppose that. The risk is too great of what the Emperor might be on, whether it gets him propaganda, whether it gets him Mon Cal or turns off Utapau, whatever it might be. I'll be waiting to see what that is, which means that I might not get to blockade Mustafar, but so be it. And I'll probably even stack Dodana here on Riken, just to because I'm planning on not blocking whatever Vader's doing. I'm doing this game as well, post commentary. I liked how the other one turned out. And so I think I'm going to continue to do that. Although I have a 3.5 hour game in the bank with me playing as Empire, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to make it through that one. Decisive victory versus cut supply lines. Normally I would take decisive victory, but he's not. It looks like I'm going to be able to blockade Mustafar, and I already have Corellia pretty well blockaded. And so I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be able to keep up with these sabotages and get them to stick. A lot of times, if you notice in my last video, I didn't even run sabotage turn 1. There are just times where it's not that important. Either I can block the rule by fear and Corellia, or he has Corellia loyal and all he has to do is run an R&D. And so sabotage is not as important turn 1 to me as infiltrate. And right here, now I'm in a tough spot. I'm worried about propaganda, and I don't feel confident about being able to block Tarkin and the Emperor on propaganda. And so here goes the capture. I'm okay letting it go through, like I was saying earlier, and let Riken fend for himself. He wants to go for Riken. I actually think Dodana is a little bit better here because if I do have a rescue, it's going to be 2 blue, and that's good with Dodana. And I don't want to run that with Leia because he might have Destiny. And I don't want Leia captured because Leia is so valuable in the pool. And so I think going for, and also Dodana um, is just a better leader to have to be running infiltrate, to be getting plan the assault. I'm not too worried about what Riken can offer at this moment. Um, and then, sure enough, there's the Emperor on trade negotiations. I would have been okay going for Utapau, but I'm okay being safe rather than sorry. Wow, Layer rolls the double four, and don't even have to spend R2. And he also lost. I think something got messed up with the audio, but he also lost the Vader roll for the capture. So very lucky turn one for me. Although he scared me away from Utapau. So there's that. No Nebulon in the future for me unless I can get trade negotiations. And I remind him of that. I don't want him to despair. Uh, it's no fun breaking somebody's spirit and having them quit out on turn one because they lost a couple of rolls. And he's in a you know he's in a still a very good spot. Anything can happen. That's one thing I've seen in Rebellion is you can be winning by a huge margin the first couple of turns, and then all of a sudden things change, or you never know where the base is. It could be a tricky base, an Alderaan base, and you accidentally land on it turn two, and you thought you were toast, and then all of a sudden you're winning. Or you have an indoor base, and the Death Star moseys its way over. You never get wedge, and you miss 3 rolls on the Death Star, and you lose. There's always something that can happen that the rebel player can't play around. Um, I get Maydeen against I think it was Son of Skywalker, and my base is I don't think I talked about my base pick, but I picked Ryloth. I like Ryloth here because based on his initial deployment in Rhodia and him having covered Naboo, I figured there was going to be a Star Destroyer going toward Naboo and an assault carrier going toward Bothawui. And eventually I'm going to hit and run that assault carrier, and that Star Destroyer is going to get blown up in order to score Rebel Assault. And so I feel like it's going to take him 2 or 3 more turns to even get to Ryloth. And by that point, I should have a pretty strong base and be be okay to attack out in order to score that Rebel Assault. He gets Ozzel. You hate to see it. Just have to keep that in mind now that Ozzel is always a threat. Always Ozzel is always something to keep in mind. And one little thing I'll point out, when he did this move from Rhodia, he started in Rhodia and he didn't leave a trooper behind, partly because his ground was so diminished. It was a weak ground force in Rhodia. He did 4 troopers with the Death Star. I wished he had taken 2 of those troopers and put them in Rhodia and then left one behind when he moved. Um, he would have gotten an extra trooper this build, and it allows him to deploy there. If I do happen to be in Ryloth, if I do happen to be in Tatooine, you always want those spaces to be able to deploy in. So I'm just running my opening missions here, and the goal is to score cut supply lines. and probably open or play out the turn with that in mind. Making sure that he can't get the sabotage off of Corellia, making sure that I blockade Mustafar, and then baiting out a move somewhere on the map so that I can lay down a safe Sabo. So here I'll infiltrate in Corellia in case that's where he wants to rule by fear. I see Crippling Blow. Great. Very fortunate with these level 1 objectives. Crippling Blow and Rebel Assault and cut supply lines are just, you can't ask for anything more. I'm guessing he's on Rule by Fear and R&D. He's already used one non-starting mission, so chances are pretty slim. He has another banger of a diplomacy mission there for Palpatine. One reason I don't love, and here's this early move to Alderaan. I don't hate it, as long as he brings the assault carrier. Yeah, okay. You really want to keep your fleets strong until they don't have to be, and it saves him a move. So this is good because this helps him cover Cato. And now last turn, I really wished he had not gone for the capture and that he had moved that force from Megiddo to Mandalore, because then this turn he would be moving to Seleucami, and he would just be a lot closer to covering Mon Cal. Don't want to let me get that second Mon Cal. That makes the base. It's an exponential thing going from one Mon Cal to two Mon Cals. What I was saying though about these 4 troopers in Sullust is if I start with Crippling Blow, that's a really tasty spot to attack. To score Crippling Blow, to blockade Sullust, blockade the Death Star, and just put him in an awkward spot as far as ever freeing Sullust, because the Death Star, he doesn't want to move that Naboo Star Destroyer down to Sullust. He wants that going up to Utapau. And so that's why I always like leaving 2 health worth of units with an operational Death Star to begin with, because it just sort of doesn't encourage the Rebel player if they're looking to score Crippling Blow. They can blockade where the Death Star is, that's fine, but I don't want them getting an objective out of it as well. So on top of scoring cut supply lines, what I'm thinking about is I have this, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times, I have this Y-Wing on the queue, and I see a single assault carrier in the Hutt region. And so I am going to be looking for any opportunity I can to build alliance next to that assault carrier and blow it up. Because if I can get to it before he gets to Toydaria, before he gets to Seleucami, even before he gets to Nalhutta, I'm going to be able to get some good production in a turn, at the end of turn 3. So I'm prioritizing here I think I should go for Kessel. Yeah. So I'm going for Kessel, hoping he'll move to Toydaria, and then I can put the Y-Wing there and blow up the assault carrier in Toydaria. And I'm prioritizing cut supply lines. So I'm trying to bait out this move to Toydaria so that I can sabotage in Bothawi and get that one to stick. And then just hope that Dodonna can block this rule by fear coming from the Emperor. We'll see how that works out. I'm a little bit surprised with this move he did to Dantooine. Chances are I'm not going to put the base in Dantooine with his initial deployment. I mean, I could, expecting him to move to Mandalore turn 1, but I really don't like early moves to remotes by the Empire because it's causing him to be out of position for doing things like covering Mon Cal, covering Seleucami. And yeah, just like I expected. So Vader now moving to Toydaria, and here comes the sabotage right where I want it on Bothawi. And Bothawi is doubly good, not only because it helps me score cut supply lines, but because I'm in Ryloth. And so sabotaging the next closest system, other than Naboo, is very beneficial as well. Now, he's choosing where to rule by fear. Okay. I'm really happy to see this. I think based on the way I'm playing and based on his production, I think he wants to go for Corellia here. And if I have cut supply lines, I'm not going to block the Emperor no matter what. So I think he was safe and probably better suited to open up with the rule by fear before the R&D so that he can free Corellia this turn. And instead, he kind of wanted to see if I was going to do an attack so that Leia doesn't block the Emperor. But I think I don't know, maybe it's just because I knew that I was on cut supply lines. But the alternative is in an alternative world, I don't have cut supply lines and I pass with Leia regardless. And then he doesn't even give himself the opportunity to repair the sabotage on Corellia this turn when he goes for the R&D first. And so I think you always just want to open with the rule by fear there. And then there's always a possibility that I have to make a choice thinking that Ozzel might be on a gather intel or something like that. But you just, I think, the goal for him needs to be to free Corellia, and and he can't do that if he's R&Ding in Coruscant. On top of the fact that there's just nowhere else good for him to rule by fear. Uh, yeah, and it's his turn to roll some sabers. And now let's see what we get in this rapid. Ooh, okay. Hoth and Tatooine, very good. I really like seeing Tatooine here in this spot because I'm planning when that Star Destroyer makes it to Geo, I'm planning on attacking out. And so if I see Tatooine, I know that he's not going to know where the attack is coming from. Is it coming from Ryloth or Tatooine? And so that's always a good probe to see. Alderaan, he had just landed on it. Sometimes that can be good to play some tricks. And then Cato. See Cato, which I'm assuming he'll be landing on promptly. Now, I think yeah, let's grab Chewie here because I'm playing base deck. And with base deck, you always want to be ready for the demolition. Demolition is such a good mission. And I already have Wookiee Uprising. Now, I might not get a chance to play Wookiee Uprising once I get Chewie. He might be kind of hesitant to land on Kashyyyk, especially if he draws the probe for it. But that's the way it goes. And now I'm gonna. Which leader did he get? Krennic. Okay, so which immediate? Secret facility. So, you know what would be a great probe to have for secret facility, and one that I'm really worried about is Mon Cal. Because, like I said, especially when you don't have a Nebulon, going from one Mon Cal to two Mon Cals is so important. It doubles essentially the number of red dice that you have, the number of red health that you have for your fleet. And so I really don't want that to be Mon Cal. And I've only seen Alderaan and Cato for populous systems. So, maybe if I get a chance, I could go for Cato. I'm not sure. Um, Now, I don't, I it's possible that you could make a gutsy attack on the Death Star and try to score this crippling blow, but I kind of want to let those units sit First of all, he might. Does he have a striker to put there? I don't see if he puts a striker there, but I want to keep Mustafar potentially blockaded. And so then I would be attacking with two troopers, and there's no way that that's going to happen. And yeah, he puts some more forces on Solus, so I have a feeling that Mustafar blockade is not going to last. Um, Now he should be he should be putting an assault carrier in Toydaria because I dropped a Y-wing in Kessel, and remember that was my plan was to blow up. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, okay. So this is a good move by him. He saw that I put a Y-wing on Toydaria, and I don't have any great missions to run, so I'm still going to take out one of these assault carriers and at least force him to move to Seleucami, and then I could possibly get Nalhutta. I'm at least going to get Kessel, and I really slow down his exploration of the Hutt region, and he's going to have to come back for it. I might even end up sabotaging Toydaria this turn to prevent the assault carrier. And then that if he doesn't have Kessel and Nalhutta probes, he's going to be in trouble. Leia on R2 going on the subversion, very powerful. She's going to be able to block probably anything. And then I got Chewie. I think I might have mentioned this in an earlier video, but one thing that's nice about Chewie back is he doesn't know if I'm going to if I'm going to actually attack out of Kessel, especially now that he put the second assault carrier there. I might say, it's not worth it. I'm not going to mess with that. And so it really dissuades him from running a capture, I think. And then if I do open up with Chewie and attack Toydaria, I can just run my infiltrate and any of that nonsense there in Toydaria under the protection of Chewie. And so Chewie's a good deterrent, especially since he showed on turn one that he's definitely open to running a sabotage. Ozzel, I'm guessing is R&D, Krennic, maybe gather intel, and then a loyalty mission, rule by fear, trade negotiations, something like that with the Emperor. So here I do open up with the attack. Um, and I don't know what the odds are. I mean, I feel pretty confident about getting a third hit here. I do not. Now I'm really worried because he could roll a heal pretty, and he doesn't. Okay. So just weakening up the exploration in that zone, especially when I'm in Ryloth, really don't mind attracting attention to Kessel. Really don't mind attracting attention to the Yavin area, the Moncal area. Well, that's all good. That's all taking him away from my base. And now if he had to gather intel, now would be the time to do it in Kessel or Moncal. It's a lot less likely now that he took that assault carrier from Solus to Toydaria. It's a lot less likely he'll free Mustafar. I could force him to free Mustafar by building Alliance in Bespin. And now that I'm looking at the board, I'm thinking to myself, there's not really many great places to build Alliance. I could do it in Utapau to make sure that he doesn't move there with Vader and then rule by fear with the Emperor and get Utapau. But I could do it in Bespin to make sure that Mustafar stays blockaded. I could do it in Nalhutta, knowing that he's probably going to be moving from Toydaria to Seleucami. But in general, if I get Nalhutta, I could do it in Ryloth because then he can't uncover Ryloth with a loyalty mission and reveal the base. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think Ozzel is on R&D, I don't see many great opportunities. I've kept his space production to so far to one single assault carrier. Why don't I just infiltrate? I really think that I should build alliance in Corellia, and it keeps it sabotaged. If I get something like a seize control, great place to do it. Free it up once he's moved away, and then I can build loyalty on it later. And it makes it so it's just a headache for him if I ever get Heart of the Empire or anything like that. So I think that's what's going through my head right now is why don't I just build alliance in Corellia, keep it sabotaged, and really give him, a headache. Yeah, he's in a tough spot. That that huge force being stuck in Megiddo for 2 turns, and now he has a second huge force sort of in Alderaan, just kind of grouped up. And yeah, I think that's a good move. Move to Seleucami, make sure that he's at least on his way to Moncal. Maybe, and again, he doesn't leave a trooper behind. Now, I could always sabotage it, but force me to sabotage it, especially if Oswald was on an R&D. You want me sabotaging, and I think this is where the idea hits me. Yeah, I think this is where I is it no no just rapid. The you want me sabotaging on Toydaria anyway because then you can just be feel safe to R&D on Corellia. And so yeah, I really wished he would leave a trooper behind on these spaces, especially if, I mean, maybe he has Malastare and Nalhutta and Kessel. Maybe, he has all three of those probes, but if he doesn't, leave stuff behind. Um, okay, here he goes with Krennic. He does secure the plans. Um, I could subvert it, but I just passed up on the Death Star plans, and I have a feeling the Death Star is not going to be coming anywhere close. He has yet to run any projects, so he's not going to be building any Death Stars soon, and are yet to draw any projects. And so I'm fine letting that go, and I'd rather stop him getting more space production by, you know, ruling by fear and Utapau, anything like that. No, I don't really have a great spot here with Maydeen to sabotage. Um, I mean, ideally, I would sabotage Seleucami in this situation, but Vader's there. Maybe, and I think it's as I'm thinking, hey, why did I run this stupid sabotage? This could have been, I could have, you know, I don't know, done something else. I don't know what I would have done. Maybe I could have had the Wookiee Uprising queued up and then done the attack with Maydeen, knowing that he was probably going to move something to Kashyyyk. And then I could just Wookiee Uprising and force him to move to Kashyyyk a second time in the same turn. But that's potentially ends up being a waste of a mission, waste of an action. So I think it's while I'm sitting here thinking, where the heck am I even going to sabotage? And that the idea comes to me, why not just run this alliance in Corellia? I guess I could sabotage right now in Utapau, but the thing is, I kind of want him to move to Utapau, even if it's just so that he can get the assault carrier. Delaying him moving to Geo is beneficial to me. So yeah, here we go. Here's the loyalty in Corellia, and um, now he's kind of stuck because Emperor's not going to be able to rule by fear there with Mothma there. And now it's kind of like, where's he going to get ships? He didn't leave a trooper behind in Toydaria. He's got Mustafar blockaded. It's 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 no bueno. I think going back in this situation, maybe it would have benefited him to put the Death Star in Coruscant and a full fleet in Sullust. That way, the assault carrier can always free up Mustafar, and that Death Star is not put in an awkward position like this Star Destroyer is. Like, what do you do with a Star Destroyer on Alderaan? He's not incentivized to necessarily move that to Cato, to move that to Mandalore. And yeah, maybe that would have helped. It's just you get sometimes these weird maps where like you don't have Seleucama, you don't have Mandalore, and it just feels awkward. And in this sense, even though I missed out on the Nebula, and this is one reason why going for Moncal turn one just puts him in such a gross spot, being so far away from Moncal at initial deployment. I don't know. It's a tough spot, and I think that's kind of what he's feeling here is just a little bit of the awkwardness of where the just the luck of the draw with the initial loyalties. Oh, display. Okay, so this is what we were expecting, something like this, or planning for. I don't know if I was necessarily expecting it. Planning for, he rolls a 4, roll a 3, perfect time for R2 to stop that. And that's exactly what you want with R2 is to stop a powerful mission like that. And now I'm feeling pretty good because I've managed to get Mom Cow for another turn. And here I think I expect Ozzel to be on the R&D, so it's like, I don't know, maybe Naboo, maybe Ord, in case he wants to move to Ord to get another maybe sabotage in Mustafar in case he attacks Mustafar with tag. But yeah, I just drop it in Ord in case he wants to move there. On second thought, maybe it would have been better to do it in Mustafar. And then he reveals the secret facility, the heartbreaking. It would have been much worse if I didn't block display. But yeah, that's very unfortunate that Moncal was one of his first 4 probes. And just waste a card. I could blow up the trooper, but since I already used the sabotage, and that was a good play by Altaris, is he waited out the sabotage because if he doesn't, I mean, if he doesn't wait out the sabotage, he could always get a TIE fighter, but you'd rather have a ground presence there, I think. And so, smart play by him to wait out the Sabo and take Moncal out of my grasp. He's wondering about maybe he forgot that I had R2. Yeah. So not a super eventful turn for the rebels. I feel good about Seize Control coming up because I have Incite Rebellion in hand. That's an easy score. I could do that in Bothawi. I could do that in Corellia. Um, so that's going to be an easy point. I could even, now that I'm looking at it, I could do this Incite Rebellion in Moncal and get Crippling Blow that way by taking out the shield bunker. And so lots of opportunities to score really good objectives so far. And, there's nothing worse as the rebels than, I haven't really gotten that great of missions. And then if you look at your first, you start with defensive position and then you infiltrate and you see threaten the core and defend the people. And then you infiltrate again and you see cut supply lines and support of the huts. And you're like, I'm not close to any of these. There's nothing worse than that feeling. So cannot complain about the objectives. And here he is freeing Mustafar. Um, Yeah, I was saying maybe it was better to sabotage Mustafar because if he does then attack there, I have Chewie to help me with my rerolls, fully expecting that he is going to R&D whatever I sabotage I lay down anyway. I'm starting to notice he, again, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. He brought so much ground with him. You know, you don't need a ton of ground with the Death Star. Maybe he was afraid of getting tag killed, but he has a striker. If he's afraid of that, he can kill a trooper, and then he can use it to cancel a card. And so now I'm looking at the Death Star and I'm like, this Death Star is rolling one black die and one green die with it because he left two TIE fighters behind in Solist. I mean, I think he would have been okay leaving two troopers behind and taking those two TIE fighters, but I'm definitely starting to notice, hey, he's got a pretty weak support system with the Death Star. And you you don't need a ton of ground with it because whatever ground force you come up against, you just blow it up. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely noticing, okay, maybe this Death Star might turn into a bit of a sitting target. I have a heist in my hand, so I can always pick up that secure the plans and just need the right leader and the right mission to come along, and I could be looking at 2 free points. And yeah, there's the R&D. Very, very well. Ran another rapid, so we get to look at some more probes. Ooh. Okay, he's moved to Dantooine, so that's not as good of a pull. But Ord, Dathomir, and Dagobah. Dagobah is can be okay. Um, it's bad if he draws Hoth and Endor, because if he draws Hoth and Endor, then that Death Star is going to start coming my way. But it also might mean that he might be slow to move away from Naboo because he's not sure if he needs to go up or down with that force. And there we go. There we go. There's the 1 in a million. 1 in a million, a pretty easy pick here, especially knowing that I have the heist and knowing that the Death Star is so poorly defended. And the reason, especially this game, why that Death Star being poorly defended matters is because I don't have a Nebulon. And so if I can keep that Death Star with a weak supporting cast, then I might be able to get it without the Nebulon, which would be, I mean, that's now we're talking base game shenanigans, where you just have to build 15 X-wings and Y-wings in order to assault the Death Star. Um, and if he puts that shield bunker down with it, that's one less TIE fighter that's going down with it. So all of this is being taken into consideration. Hmm. I wonder. Oh, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, okay. This is a little cheeky. Assuming he doesn't put anything else in Seleucami, I can attack with that U-wing and trooper and gain a vanguard. And with that vanguard, I can do 2 red damage and kill those tanks because there's no red dice there. And so I'm kind of putting that there, hoping that he leaves Seleucami as it is, and then I can attack in, gain a vanguard. I'm rolling a black and a green, do 2 red damage with the card, and then take out the trooper with my other 2 dice and score crippling blow there. Take out his ground, make it harder for him to explore, and just kind of get a little cheeky objective score there in Seleucami. Now I get to do the Wookiee Uprising. It's not, the dream with Wookiee Uprising is always to get a Star Destroyer, but considering he has such limited space production. Again, he's only building one assault carrier. And so any assault carrier I can take out with a hit and run, with a Y-wing, with a Wookiee uprising is vital, especially because my space is relatively weak with only one Mon Cal. Um, Along with the usual benefits of preventing him from exploring, forcing him to remove to Kashyyyk, all of those things that really annoy. I think I think internally I'm lamenting the mission disparity with the trade negotiation and the secure the plans and the display of power versus my discarded hidden fleet. But fortunately, I've been able to block all of those two of those missions, and so it might actually feel worse for him because there's. It's one thing to not get any good missions. It's another thing to get good missions and have them all blocked. That can be pretty frustrating. So here he is noticing that Seleucami is pretty weak on the ground. And I've mentioned this before, but he has three AT-ATs on the queue. There's no reason to not deploy them. Just get them on the map. For sure, you want an AT-AT in Naboo. Uh, put an AT-AT in Kashyyyk. Put one in Seleucami. Just spread them around the map. You're building two every build phase, and you're definitely weak in the Naboo region, going up to Geo, covering Dagobah, and why not throw an AT-AT down on Kashyyyk? Um, I actually think he can only deploy one of those from the last build. But you throw an AT-AT on Kashyyyk, and now my Wookiee Uprising can only take out an assault carrier and a trooper, and you don't have to move there again. And so I think I'm noticing that he has too many missions. And now he plays Tarkin's card. That's okay. I wished that he had at some point moved from Naboo to Utapau. I don't know, what move I would have sacrificed. Maybe the move to Mustafar, but then he'd have an assault carrier on Space 2, and he could do this on Utapau and get an extra assault carrier. It's a swing of two assault carriers. But now's a good time for him to do it. It's not a build turn. It looks like he's not in any real danger. And because he put that AT-AT down on Seleucami, I'm just going to run these guys away. I can now do the same move that I was planning to do on Seleucami. I can do it on Bothawi in order to score seize control. And doing it on Bothawi, I could potentially clear out the space and the ground. And when I score seize control, then I can remove that sabotage marker and free up Bothawi. So I didn't have any other missions pressing to do. And so I'll just keep Maydeen in hand. And now I'm kind of wishing, oh goodness, address delays, the strength of the base deck. So now I've spent a lot of time, put a lot of effort into stopping him from getting fleet, and all of a sudden he has two Star Destroyers on queue. And I'm not feeling good about that, especially considering the fact that I haven't been able to pump out much fleet either. But that is the power of base empire, is you can go from zero production to just skyrocket in you know, with the power of a resolve mission. Now I'm kind of thinking, is there any world where I get this crippling blow off in Moncal and kill a leader? Um, could be a little bit tough, but he's already done his hold them back or support of the 501st or his blow up a trooper card. And so gives my odds a little bit of a boost. I'm probably, if there's any way that I can kill Ozzel with this Incite Rebellion. If there's any way I can kill Piet, uh, those are prime targets. And sometimes even an argument for just plopping Mothma down on it so that it's guaranteed to go off wherever you do it. Could even, put Nadine down there first to get the rerolls. Um, but I'm just not sure where is best. Now, if this Star Destroyer moves from Alderaan to Kashyyyk, which it just might, then scoring Siege Control in Corellia looks pretty good because I can free it up, I can build loyalty there, I can start deploying there and make his life sort of a nightmare. I also haven't seen three of my level 2s, and so very possible that there could be a Heart of the Empire in there. That would be nice. Anything that he has to deploy back near Coruscant is going to weaken his forces out where my base is. So he does a move to Mandalore. Maybe he has Ilum. That's good for him. And he doesn't bring Alderaan. Again, I like bringing Alderaan. It's if I am in Dathomir, I know he doesn't know Dathomir. He might not know Felucia, might not know Yavin. Keep those guys together. You can always put an assault carrier down in Alderaan, down in Seleucami to cover Kashyyyk. But keep your forces together when you can, and it saves you a move. Maybe he's worried about Cato, but again, drop the assault carrier in Sullust. And then in my infiltrate, just like I was hoping, I see the raid outpost. Hidden fleet in hand, heist in hand, that's looking like 2 easy points right here. And as long as that Death Star stays down near Bespin, I don't have to worry about the fact that it's currently invincible. It's probably even going to be a long time until I see the level 3 Death Star plans. And there you have it. He went from no space to all of the space. Oof, I would love to kill Ozzel for doing that to me. Um, brutal, brutal. And that's one thing to remember too as Empire. I know a lot of Imperial players will sort of go all out to get a Star Destroyer turn one, play Tarkin turn one. It's just never worth the risk of me being on contingency, me getting the last action, um, me already having Rogue Squadron raid in hand. Uh, Altaris has put in almost no effort into getting production. And just by running two very normal R&Ds, he gets a Super Star Destroyer. And he did do one Rule by Fear in Corellia, but I sabotaged it with an action. I've been infiltrating there every turn, and I built a loyalty there with an action. And so I have put much more effort into stopping his production than he's put into getting it. And you just draw some projects, draw some address delays, which is not in your control, but uh, these fleets will come into play hopefully soon enough for him. They should, based on how much time is left in the game. Here's the move to Utapau. This move could have been done a couple turns ago. One thing, sort of what I was saying about his move with Piet, that can be a little risky is when you move closer to the base in this sort of later stage game where I'm not going to get much more space in the base. He's done a good job covering my systems. I'm not drawing the powerful missions. And so, like, for example, he almost moved to Geo. You're sort of asking for that Star Destroyer to be taken out if I'm in Tatooine or Ryloth. And if I'm in Dathomir or Yavin, and you move one Star Destroyer with Piet, you're kind of asking for it to be taken out. That's why you want to keep your fleets strong and unified in these important locations, and then do little poke outs with the assault carriers. So he moves Alderaan and Megiddo as a unit to Mandalore, and then that Piet force is much stronger, and I'm much more hesitant to attack out. Whereas if I attack out, say I'm in Dathomir or Yavin, and I attack out now, I can take out the Piet Star Destroyer, and with my superior action cards, Fleet Logistics, and then Y-Wing Bomber, I could take out that Star Destroyer and still have a Mon Cal and 3 fighters left. And then he can't even move from Alderaan to Mandalore that easily without risking heavier losses. So that's something to keep in mind, I think, as the Empire is it's not just finding the base, it's finding the base at the right time with the right strength of fleet, with the right support. Not sure what, I haven't seen any loyalty objectives. And so the nice spot about that is you can really use your loyalty to do things like bully this Death Star. I know he doesn't have Dagobah. I don't know if he has Endor or Hoth, but I would really like to give him a reason to move that Death Star away from my base. And so let me just build loyalty in Bespin, hope that he moves there, takes the bait, and then I'm feeling a lot better about my long-term chances. If he doesn't take the bait, at least initially. And see, now he's moving to Toydaria. I think if he had left a trooper there when he first moved away, he could do this move to Kessel. And that's just a better move because now I can deploy in Kessel. And I continue to get builds in Kessel. And he has spent 2 actions moving to the same system. So I think if he had left a trooper behind there in Toydaria, he could probably make that move to Kessel and feel a little bit better about it. Might even be better for him to move to Kashyyyk so that he can cover Cato eventually with that assault carrier. Because again, I know that he has to land on Cato at some point. Just little things like that where, in the moment, it's what's the harm? But Rebellion is really a game about resources, and your actions are a resource. And over the long term, not only over one particular long game, but over the scope of your career playing Rebellion, these little efficiencies and not having to do a double movement and not leaving somebody behind so you can deploy there and get the extra production. These little efficiencies are going to increase your odds at winning in the long term. And that's how I like to think about Rebellion is not being outcome focused. Oh, maybe I did a play that wasn't that good, but it worked out. But instead, how can I make the play that in the most number of situations, in the most number of games, gives me the greatest chance at winning? And it's a lot like poker in that way. If anybody plays poker, knows about like game theory optimization poker, if you're not just playing to trick your opponent or to maximize your advantage over them, but you're playing to win the most number of games over the most number of scenarios. I'm sort of struggling here. Not sure. I was thinking, kind of hoping, oh, let me do this Incite Rebellion where I can kill a leader, but I didn't put Mothma on it, so there's a chance it could get blocked. And so now I'm like, let's just stick with the plan, go to Corellia and score seize control, and the crippling blow will come. There will be a time where I can score crippling blow, and I'll just give him a headache by dropping this here in Corellia, freeing it up, building loyalty there, and next turn, and forcing him to deploy some more stuff around that region. Not sure what Palpatine is on. Would imagine it's a rule by fear, which he, just dropping Utapau. He's done a really good job getting ground production. You can never have too much space production. I mean, he probably has enough considering what I've built, but you can never have enough. Especially if I'm able to eke out a base move, something like that. And then, yeah, there goes the sabotage, and now he's going to have to move there at some point. Hmm. And he passes. What could he have passed on? I pass. Now I'm starting to think, okay, out comes the raid outpost, get the trade relations, get the covert operation, and feeling very, very good. Um, right here, I'm going to value being able to get covert operation. I think I think it's a toss-up. I think Akbar here is very good considering my weak space because I want to take out this Utapau Star Destroyer and score Rebel Assault. But I'm starting to think, what did the Emperor pass on? Surely the only thing he would pass on there would be subversion. And the only chance he really had to use it was on the Insight Rebellion. But if he happens to lose 4 dice to 3 dice, then the Emperor is dead. And that is never good. And so I'm starting to expect, okay, he is ready to stop one of my missions with the Emperor on subversion, and I want to run heist here. I want to pick up this outpost in Hoth. I want to pick up the outpost in Dantooine with heist. And so Obi-Wan is going to help me with that. He's going to give me the blue icons that I need. I can covert operation in Dantooine, and because he put a bunker there, he can't free it. You know, a good play if you don't have a bunker there is maybe I open with Obi on covert in Dantooine, and then you just move all of your units to Dathomir or to Megiddo, and now I can't heist there because you need Imperial units in the system where the heist takes place. And so this is my thought process is I can lead out with Obi-Wan on the covert, and then I can stack that with Dodonna on the heist. And I'm going to be particularly careful about this because I suspect that he has a subversion. And I suspect that he's using that subversion to block exactly the heist mission. Mothma on trade relations, feel good about that. I'm probably, again, no loyalty objectives. I'm probably going to use Mothma. I don't know. I'm thinking now that with all of the production he was able to get last turn, I need to move. I need to score objectives as fast as possible. And I can't mess around with that. So this covert operation is going to help me know what direction to take. But that is the idea is in in about 5 seconds, he's going to deploy three more AT-ATs, two Star Destroyers, and a Super Star Destroyer, and my little weak Rebel base is not going to last long. Now I have some stalling measures. One of them is Maydeen, and the other one is the fact that he can't deploy in many places near my base. He can only deploy in Naboo and Utapau. And if I He's shown that he will move off of systems and not leave ground behind. So what if he moves to Geo and he just leaves the TIE Striker? Now I don't remember if he does that, but if he does, now he can only deploy in Geo and in Naboo. And I'm gonna attack Geo, possibly blockade it in order to take out that Star Destroyer, and I can sabotage Naboo. And then the closest place he would be able to deploy is Sullust. So I don't know. I don't know. I gotta move fast is all I'm saying. And I gotta think about stopping him from putting these scary, scary units near my base. I think I mentioned this before, but one thing on my mind is if things go haywire, if my level threes don't cooperate and I do have to move the base, I really like waiting for this plastic to hit the board. This Space 2 he has, these two Star Destroyers and this Super Star Destroyer. And so that would be the move, is stall out until he deploys those guys. And, I've seen Dathomir, I've seen Tatooine. Tatooine could be a last gas attempt. But also, I saw Ord, and now he has yet to land on Ord, but it's possible that if he moves away from Ord, if he has to go to, Cato with Alderaan, and then he has to go to Yavin or Dathomir with the Mandalore fleet, there might be a world where, I build alliance on Megiddo, I sabotage Coruscant, and all of a sudden, Ord might be open for a safety backup move. Now I open up with the hidden fleet before he can move there. Get the point. I'm looking at it. I think I can get Rebel Assault. I think I can get Crippling Blow and the other outpost. That puts me at 8. 1, 2, 3, 8. And we're about to go into turn 6. So I don't have to stall that long. All right, here's the covert op. So we'll see what we get. Death Star plans in time for peace. Okay, so here's my thought. I want to use this heist to get covert operations. That means the Death Star will forever be vulnerable. We're about to go into turn 6. I'm going to be building. If he leaves Kashyyyk and Kessel open along with my base, I'm building a lot of triangle units. And if we remember, Mothma is on established trade relations. So almost without fail, no matter what she builds will be insignificant. She could get me a speeder, and that speeder gives me 3 speeders in base, and he's building 2 AT-ATs and has one on the queue. She could get me a Mon Cal and a Nebulon, but what are the chances those are ever going to come into play? And even if they do, what am I going to do against his Super Star Destroyer and 2 Star Destroyers? So my thought now, along with this idea of playing fast, get as many objectives, is take the time for peace, use trade relations to get a circle and a square icon from Utapau, and leave some stuff on the queue so that you can score time for peace. He can't stop that objective. I mean, he could get retrieve the plans, but that takes me from having a Mon Cal and a Nebulon that probably won't even come into play to now they could potentially get me some points. So I've given up. He's moved the Death Star to Hoth. I'm never going to I'm never going to kill it. I'm never going to need to kill it. It's so far from my base, and it's invincible regardless. So time for peace. This is a rare moment where I'm actually happy to see time for peace because it's sort of the only objective that I'm equipped to score easily. Even if it were liberation, I got to score crippling blow. I got to score rebel assault. How many more combat objectives can I get when I don't have public uprising in hand or another incite rebellion? He clears out Hoth. That was a mandatory move for him because he didn't have Hoth. Guessing he has fear will keep them in line or something to take Bespin back. But like I said, at this point, the units are I have enough in base to score crippling blow, and I have enough in base to score rebel assault, and those are my two priorities at the moment, along with getting this outpost. Now, I remember from last turn that I suspected Palpatine was on subversion. So I'm giving it some time because he still has a good chance of blocking with Krennic in the pool and Palpatine on subversion. Because then it's four blue dice and two green dice versus my five. And so I'm thinking I might need to stack uh, Leia there. I might need to run my sabotage there with Nadine. I might need to start pulling out the stops. Uh, okay, so he didn't have Yavin. Yeah, so there's the move to Yavin. And again, if I had been in Yavin, if I had been in Dathomir last turn, that Star Destroyer is just toast this turn. And one of the best things I can do when I have this week of a space fleet is to kill his Star Destroyers one by one. Oh, Madine's not on sabotage. Chewie is. Okay. So that's even worse. If Madine were on the sabotage, then I could get a couple more blues there. But Dodonna needed to run Build Alliance. Maybe I can even get him to block Build Alliance with Vader and diminish his moves. I figure now that he's covered Hoth, Dathomir, and Yavin, he probably has a pretty good idea that I'm on the Rebels' left side of the board. I'm in Dagobah. I'm in Ryloth. Whew, if I were in Dagobah, I would have to have major cojones with an invincible Death Star outside waiting for it to move to Hoth. That would have been sick. But instead, I'm in Ryloth or Tatooine, and Altaris is a smart player. He probably suspects that if I were in Dagobah, something would have happened by now. And so he probably suspects rightly that I'm in Tatooine or Ryloth. So maybe I can get Vader to block this Rule by Fear, in which case, or this Build Alliance, in which case he can't move to Geo and to Bothawi. I would suspect that's what he wants to do, is he wants to move to, okay, yeah. This is a little bit of hedging in case Palpatine is on trade negotiations or if Tarkin is on his mission. Because Vader could move to Geo and Tarkin could do his mission. And right now I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna have to play it safe and put Leia down in Dantooine to get this raid outpost point. And so I won't be able to block a diplomacy mission. So let me just get get loyalty on Ryloth to make sure that my base doesn't get revealed. That could be quite awkward considering he has Ozzel. And so if he reveals my base this turn, he moves to Geo, he drops an AT-AT there, and he just makes it very hard for me to score these last couple of combat objectives. So that is the priority for sure, sending Dodonna to Ryloth. And I think if he had blocked with Vader and Ryloth, frankly, I probably would have had to I probably would have kept Leia in hand to block what I would suspect is a Tarkin mission or something like that. Ozzel, oof, blowing up Hoth in order to strip Bespin. Yeah, he does that again. Smart play by him to wait out my build alliance, so that I will not be getting Bespin. But little does he know. Well, he's playing it smart. The reality is he can probably see as well as I do that I just don't have enough units. All that matters now is keeping the base hidden for a little bit longer and scoring objectives. Um, in which case, I don't know, maybe blowing up Hoth is not a great play because it affords me to score Inspire Sympathy. And I don't know. So maybe he should be shifting his attention a little bit more to objectives, but and that's the hard thing about Rebellion. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loyalty. So he didn't even, stop me from scoring popular support if that's what I happen to get with covert operation. And he flashes. Oh, big issue there. He flashes the subversion accidentally. And so I definitely noticed that. I already suspected it because he passed last turn, and I've been stacking, I stacked already on Dantooine. And so, yeah, knowing that there's nothing else for these leaders in hand to do, I'm just going to start dropping blue there, and I'll see what he does. He has Piet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would have 7 dice versus his 5. It just and I am treating these points like gold, very, very vital. So I expect a move from him with Vader. Hmm. Yeah, that's a product of him not knowing Dagobah yet. And so he is going to come over to Bothaweet. That helps him cover Tatooine. And now I was keeping Wedge back because I was hoping that the Star Destroyer would move to Geo and then I could Rebel Assault it with Wedge and attack out. But now Wedge is a little bit useless. So let's stall him out and put him in Dantooine because he might move with Piet. And I'm not really comfortable going for the heist yet. I don't feel like I have enough of it advantage. And so let's drop Wedge and Dantooine. And maybe now he moves to Geo, or maybe he passes. And if he passes, I have a decision ahead of me. Uh, I can go for the heist vanilla style. I can just do a man's roll and roll 7 to 5, and pretty good odds. But I don't know. I've been definitely getting lucky so far in the rolls, and he passes. So here goes Maydeen, and he throws the kitchen sink at it. And now I'm wondering, do I use 1 in 1 million to seal this deal? I've invested 1, 2, 3, 4 actions so far. I'm really worried about what's going to happen in 2 turns. I only, I'm not going for the Death Star, so I'm thinking, is this a situation? How do I feel? What are my odds? And I play it. Let's get the 1 in 1 million out. And with that, I roll a pretty good roll, an 8, and ensure that I get that raid outpost. He might not even know what I'm going for. He might think I'm going for the Death Star, but nope. I wanted that point, and I got that point. And now, get Rebel Assault, get Crippling Blow, score Time for Peace, and I draw Public Uprising. So good. So good because that means that I can for sure close out the game this turn if I play it right. And if I get a little lucky that he doesn't have carbon or something. Although he doesn't, he would be hard pressed. I have Chewie, I have Wedge, I have Maydeen, and he only has Vader as far as fists. So I'm not super worried about carbon. For some reason, I misread the build, and I think I only have two troopers, but I should actually get five troopers. And I'm setting up to score time for peace, so I have to leave those on the queue. The plan will be score crippling blow in Bothawi, and ideally, since I know he doesn't have Tatooine, if I can clear out all of his ground, when he moves to Geo, I can blow up that Star Destroyer and he still won't know where the attack has come from. So if he has planetary, if he's able to stall for a turn and has to guess with an Ozzel, he's choosing between Tatooine and Ryloth. I notice my mistake. I make the correct number of troopers. I posture around a little bit. Well, maybe it's not posturing. I want to know where the best place to do this public uprising is. And I hatch this plan um, where I cover my bases a little bit by ensuring that I can clear out all of the ground in Bothawi so that he cannot check Tatooine, and that it just limits his chances at shenanigans. Should he be able to miraculously get off a carbon? Oh yes, Soontir. I didn't notice that. So Soontir could hypothetically get a capture off. Gonna drop some stuff in Ryloth. And it's weird. It's a weird feeling playing for time for peace. You're just like, this game is coming down to the wire. Let me get all the stuff out there. But it's just one of those rare situations where, I've been in games where the future is much more kind of questionable or nebulous, where maybe I have a really strong base. I've already got two Mon Cals and a Nebulon and a base defenses and three speeders, and and maybe his production is a little more comparable to mine, and I've scored time for peace, and I almost always regret it. It's a similar thing with the objective defend the people. I almost always regret scoring defend the people because I want those units in or around my base doing more than just scoring an objective. I want them doing, scoring an objective and preventing his exploration and blockading his systems and defending my base. If I can do two or three or four of those things with my units instead of just one, especially when it's four units spread out over different systems. I always regret ending up to scoring defendant people. Not only because I wish I had those units on base, but also because there's so many ways for the Empire to stop it. Hunt them down. He pulls out Soontir at the last minute. Ozzel moves back to a system I didn't expect him to move to clear out my units, or runs a trade negotiation or a propaganda on one of my systems that has loyalty. And so not only is it super incredibly difficult to score, but even if I do manage to get it off, I'm always like, you know what? And for that reason, I'm actually starting to come around to thinking defensive position is a little more realistic and a little bit less of a resource suck than defend the people. In a similar way to right now, I'm kind of like, I'm going to end this turn and score time for peace to win. You can plan that with defensive position. And what you would do in that situation is, instead of using trade relations on Utapau, you would use trade relations somewhere like Bespin or Saleucami, and you would get a turret, and just hope that you have base defenses. And with road, it's a little bit easier because you can recon the base defenses, but then you plan around to move. So maybe I know Ord is coming up. I don't expect him to move to Ord. I have base defenses and a turret and base, and I just plan at the end of this turn, I'm going to move to Ord, score defensive position, and then close out the game that way. So really quick, what I'm doing is I've decided to ambush with Maydeen in Bothawui. And what that does is it lets me clear out two tanks and a trooper. Not the AT-AT, because the AT-AT is fodder for my crippling blow. Now he could Ozzel here to Tatooine after seeing that ambush. I don't expect him to. Here comes the public uprising. No sense in him. No sense in him opposing, especially because it would be with Palpatine. Then I have a level 3. Tow cables out, and I have Maydeen there for the rerolls too, so should be able to get enough damage on this trooper. And I even have a guy left over in Bothawui, which is nice. He won't be able to deal with that anytime soon. Crippling blow, and yeah, now it's looking like I have Wedge back to do the Star Destroyer kill, and then we'll end with Time for Peace. He has no carbon queued up. Looks like no capture queued up, and so from his perspective, he did everything. As far as playing around my objectives, he did everything right. It's just very unfortunate that my objectives were so good. Raid outposts with the hidden fleet and the heist, seize control with the incite, crippling blow with the public uprising. This is one of those instances where my missions and my objectives just lined up really well. Again, maybe if he doesn't do the capture turn 1 and instead he gets a second assault carrier, maybe that makes a difference. Maybe if he's able to be a little more mobile with his fleets, run a couple fewer missions, doesn't have Palpatine on 2 subversions that ended up not doing much, things like that, in order to just speed up his production a little bit. His Star Destroyer in Naboo sat for a couple of turns. The Star Destroyer in Alderaan sat for a couple of turns, and part of that is just the bad luck he had with me blocking a few of his missions. But even then, I don't think those missions really change much as far as his movements. I don't know. I don't know much what else he could have done except just maybe get different probes and move a couple more times. Yeah, here's the secret weapons research. Maybe, he did 2 R&Ds. I don't know when he got the Super Star Destroyer, but maybe he could have done that a turn earlier. Maybe he could have done Tarkin a turn earlier in Corellia. That's definitely a possibility. Do it on turn 3 instead of turn 4. Maybe if he had moved to Utapau earlier and done it there on Utapau, he gets a couple ACs out earlier, something like that. So, because for example, even if there's a Super Star Destroyer right now in Utapau and another Star Destroyer, maybe I don't get to take out a Star Destroyer in Geo. Right now he just has one Star Destroyer there. And so if he moves to Geo, Wedge is taking it out, as long as he can't outlast my movements. And so maybe if he moves there with a Superstar Destroyer and he can play Overwhelming Presence and block two reds in a crit while rolling second with Piet or something, then all of a sudden he opens up with Soontir. He can Ozzle the base. He puts two AT-ATs in Geo. Now all of a sudden he's got a glimmer of hope. He's got a fighting chance. So maybe it's just, and that's what I mean about these little efficiencies is, the second move to Toydaria going from Rhodia to Bothawi to Toydaria to Seleucami back to Toydaria back to Bothawi. These little inefficiencies, not having the assault carrier to move to Hoth. So now you have to move the Death Star back to Mustafar. Those sorts of things. He has the right mindset. He is trying to wait out my actions. I don't know if he'll be able to. Inspire Sympathy or Raid Imperial Factory. Inspire Sympathy is a guaranteed score, but it's in the refresh. So I'm thinking if something goes wrong, if somehow I can't pull off this Rebel Assault, then I can open up with a Raid Imperial Factory and save my butt. Now, he doesn't know Dagobah, but that Star Destroyer has to go to Geo. So I think what he should do is he should move the assault carriers and the TIE fighter to Tatooine. Then he should move Utapau to Geo. So if I attack out, he can perhaps keep that Star Destroyer alive and retreat to Tatooine. Because he already will have units there. Now I could play around by that. I could play around that by revealing the base, but then I've revealed the base, and he knows where I am, and he has Soontir, and he has Ozzel, and so he's still leaving those units in Alderaan. I guess maybe he doesn't know Kato still, but again, that's where you want those assault carriers doing those little pokes, so that you can have these Star Destroyers grouped up. Yeah, so that would be my play, moving the assault carriers from Bothawi to Tatooine, and then moving to Geo, so that if you have to retreat from the likely Ryloth or Tatooine base, then you can do it to Tatooine. And you're still in a position with Ozzel next turn where maybe you can do some shenanigans. Ozzel and Soontir. Great combination, Ozzel and Soontir. Infiltrate is off. The Sabotage is down in Geo. He is Discredit. Discredit. I will not mess around. We are playing, like I said, on a razor wire here, where I'm thinking if I don't close this out this turn, I'm likely toast. So not gonna risk it. And also I'm typing in chat. Not only the last two times have I rolled sabers on discredit, but they've both been against non-Mahdi Imperial leaders. And the last time, two times I've observed somebody else's game rolling for discredit, they've rolled sabers. And so I'm pretty sure there's a mathematical fallacy that I'm violating by allowing that to influence my decision. But it is what it is. I'm still human. So I'm not going to risk it. No need to. The Sabotage in Geo is sort of a moot point, and I'm just hoping that he moves there as soon as possible. I don't know why he's moving to Rhodia. Maybe he's going to rule by fear there. I suspect that he doesn't see the retreat play to Tatooine. It's kind of a long shot because again, he's just been unlucky with the probes. But contingency here in Nalhada, and that's just because why not? I probably should have done that in Geo. Probably should have done that in Geo um, to entice him even more to land there. But at this point, it doesn't quite matter. And here's the move. And yeah, like I said, not leaving any ground behind. At this point, he probably can't afford to. He needs everything that he can get, but it just limits where he's going to be able to deploy. And here comes the attack. I waste no time. I think, he was going to the Rhodia move with Soontir, but then he changed it to Piet. But I think you wanna save Piet for this Geo move because that's just more likely where the attack is coming from. Still have a level 1 in hand. Um, I think you want Piet to protect the Star Destroyer, especially since it's just a better place to deploy because it can cover Ryloth and Tatooine. Open up with a cancel. I don't need to block red hits. I'm just looking to do damage. And come on, Wedge. There we go. 5 damage on the Star Destroyer, and that's GG. It was well played by Altaris. It was a tough spot for him. Not sure what else he could have done. I got really good rolls on the mission blocks, and his units were a little too tardy to the party. Well, guys, thanks for checking in with this one. This was a fun one. I hinted at this earlier, but I have got me playing Empire for a 3.5 hour barn burner versus Piotr. And I'm going to get working on that one, hopefully get that out for you guys at some point. But this is how this one ended. I'll check you guys in the next one.